Good afternoon, everyone. We're just going to wait another minute or so as people log in. Great to see so many of you joining. We'll just give it one more minute. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kelly Daynard, and I am the Executive Director of Farm and Food Care Ontario. We're delighted that you're joining us this afternoon for what I think is going to be a really fun and inspirational panel. Today, we're stepping into the lives of some of Ontario's women farmers, exploring who they are, what they do, and the roles they play in feeding our communities and shaping the future of agriculture. And I tell you, when we started thinking about this webinar a couple of months ago, oh my gosh, there is no shortage of amazing names of people in agriculture we could have called upon to be part of this. And we're so grateful to have the three on here today. So the United Nations declared 2026 as the International Year of the Women Farmer. The year will spotlight essential roles that women play across agri-food systems, from production, primary production, to trade, and often they go unrecognized. Women farmers are really central to food security, nutrition, and resilience. And this International Year of the Woman Farmer will really raise awareness and promote activities across the world to close those gender gaps and improve women's lives worldwide. So today's session is being recorded and will be sent to you by email after the presentation. We'll also provide links to our next webinar, and we'll talk about that later in the program. There's also a chat function on the side, so we'd love to know where you are, who you are, where you're logging in from. So by all means, post a comment on the right-hand side and tell us a little bit about you. We will be getting into questions in about half an hour or 40 minutes. So please be typing those questions in as you get them, and we'll be sure to get to those shortly. So I'm pleased to introduce today's panel. My first panelist is Julie Ma. Julie is a farmer, she's an agribusiness owner, and she's a real agricultural leader from Lambton County down near Sarnia, Ontario. She was elected director with Grain Farmers of Ontario in 2023. She had been a delegate for 5 years before that. Julie and her husband, Kyle, are raising three of the most busy farm boys I've ever met in my career. They also grow soybeans, corn, and wheat. They offer a seed dealership, and they provide custom farming operations and services for other farmers. And if she's not busy enough doing that, she's also a really active 4-H leader. Andrea Velhusen, who I'm pleased to say is a member of the Farm and Food Care Board of Directors. She's a second-generation broiler chicken. That's a meat chicken farmer from Wainfleet in Niagara region. She currently serves as first vice chair of Chicken Farmers of Ontario. And one of her real passion projects, she also chairs the CFO Cares program, and that is a program that supplies food banks across Ontario with nutritionists, beautiful chicken meals. And last year, that food banks program provided 1 million meals to food banks across Ontario. She serves on several Chicken Farmers of Ontario committees. She farms with her husband Ryan and their 4 children, and she is also an active community volunteer with church youth programming and local hockey and skating organizations. And then I want to introduce my friend Amanda Dooney. Amanda is a first-generation farmer and a co-owner of Suncrest Apple Orchards. She farms with her husband Hayden, and they raise their 2 children in Norfolk County. Her roles on the farm are like all of the other ones. Any day depends on a different thing. They involve food safety, HR, payroll, and marketing. I've seen her picking apples too. She's also co-owner of Ride the Vine, which is a local guided tour company that really does a great job in that area of showcasing Ontario's farmers and products. She has built a strong agricultural and tourism partnership with people in Kenya, and she was just telling us offline she's just gotten back from 2 months of work in Kenya, which really shows her interest in global agriculture, which is what this International Year of the Woman Farmer is all about. I'm going to ask our team, they're just going to show you a quick video from the United Nations about this International Year.
Across the world, women are the backbone of agri-food systems. They grow crops, raise livestock, catch fish, manage forests, process food, trade in markets, teach and innovate. Their work weaves through the land, the water and the knowledge that sustain us, connecting food from the farm to our tables. Women make up 41% of the global agri-food workforce, yet too often they have less access to land, finance, technology, and training. When women farmers are empowered, everyone benefits. Hunger diminishes, dietary diversity increases, incomes grow, and households are more resilient to shocks. Closing gaps between women and men in agri-food systems can be transformative. It could reduce food insecurity for 45 million people. Empowered women, transforming agri-food systems.
Super. Okay, let's jump straight into this. I have given a little introduction, but I'd rather you all tell people what they should know about you. So Julie Ma, why don't you kick it off? You're on mute, Julie.
Sorry about that. Yeah, just to kick it off, thank you, Kelly. Thanks for the opportunity. I think you covered everything as far as, I guess, the now. As far as my education background, I started in business sports management and had the opportunity to work in the OHL and events like the Memorial Cup and the Scotty Tournament of Hearts. And then I moved home to farm and transitioned that business background into ag lending, working for a financial institution. Our school busing changed, and so they had eliminated our busing where our children were getting on and off at school. So I returned home full time, which sitting at home just farming wasn't quite, I guess, enough. So I had the opportunity to sell seed, started that career, and that's where we land today. And I thoroughly enjoy connecting with farmers and building relationships across the province.
Super, thank you. Andrea, jump in.
Thanks, Kelly. Thanks, everybody. It's really exciting to be joining you today. So, Kelly, I really think you did a really good snapshot there, but I guess I'll just say I grew up on a dairy farm, and then my parents got into chickens when I was in grade 8. I thought they were a bit crazy because you don't really have relationships with chickens, but with cows, you name them and, you know, do all kinds of fun things, 4-H show calves and things. But then going through the years, I had the opportunity, obviously, to work alongside my family, some brothers and sisters, and just loved agriculture. And so here we are today, and continue to advocate for this great industry that we're all a part of, and the pleasure of working alongside Farm and Food Care often. So thanks for doing this today, Kelly.
Awesome. And Amanda, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly, for having me and this opportunity to join today. So much fun. As Kelly said, I'm Amanda Dooney. Myself and my husband, Hayden, we co-own Suncrest Orchards here in beautiful Norfolk County, where I was born and raised. We're a little unique. We're first-generation farmers. Fun fact, how I kind of got into apples, my university job was scouting, doing some pest management in apple orchards, and I actually scouted the orchard we own today. So I studied to be a teacher in school, and as my paths in life traveled, we were very fortunate to purchase our first farm here back in 2019. Which is awesome. I love this farm. We grow a variety of apples. So if I have any Gala, Honeycrisp, Ambrosia, Pink Lady fans out there, I encourage you to keep eating apples so we can continue running the farm. As Kelly mentioned, my kind of role on the farm here is I do a lot of the admin. Sometimes it's a bit boring. I'm stuck behind the computer. I'd much rather be out, active on the farm, working with our employees and just being outside in the sun. But the admin stuff is very important, and that has to get done as well. Something Kelly also mentioned is agritourism. So a friend and I, we co-own Ride the Vine. It's a wine, beer, cider tour company based in Southern Ontario. We do tours here in Norfolk and all the way out to Lambton, Huron. We're also looking at setting up a tour in Elgin County. And with that business, we're all about exploring and celebrating local and just encouraging people to visit farms. A lot of the places we visit our farms themselves. So it's really cool to connect people to farming that way.
Amazing. Thank you. So for all of you, agriculture is so much more than a job. It's an identity. And I think all of you would agree with that. It's certainly, the way I live my life. What's the one moment, maybe it's an event from your childhood or a harvest or a successful, flock of chickens that have arrived? What is the kind of the one thing that you would trigger that reminded you of why you chose this path? Andrea, do you have a story for us?
Absolutely, Kelly. So I think, to your point, agriculture is a lot more than a job. You said it's an identity. I often say it's a lifestyle. It's the way that my families chose to live. And I think I can't pinpoint one moment. It's like a collection of moments where I watch my kids and the ability that they have to grow up and gain this hard work ethic, to understand where their food comes from, to participate in the process of, providing food, stable, high quality protein for Canadians. And those are just some of the key things that I think are so important. But for sure, it comes back to my family when I look at the opportunities that I can provide them, give them a lifestyle that is maybe different than a lot of their peers. And hopefully it catches on and there is succession and a desire to continue this business well into the future. So that's probably how I would summarize it.
Amanda, so you've got a fairly new story compared to some farmers. What's your one turning point moment for you?
Ooh, like Andrea said, I don't know if I have one exact moment, but I do have a fun little story. Scrolling through Facebook as we do, I noticed one of my friends had posted a picture of what their child was eating for lunch that day. And I was like, aha, that's a Honeycrisp apple. And this was a time when we had enough warmth in February where we could open up our roadside stand and sell some apples, which is kind of unheard of. And for me, that was super rewarding to see the food that, my family had grown on another child's plate. And it sparked a little conversation and some comments on Facebook. And, I got to hear how much their kids love our apples and love Honeycrisp. And to me, that just felt really, really good.
Julie, what about you?
I agree with the others. It is really hard to just pick which one. I think, Andrea, you hit it nail on the head about lifestyle, right? It is a lifestyle. You hear very often, I don't know how you guys all do it, but it's a lifestyle. It's just how it is. I think probably one of my favorite moments is farming with my sons. and just being able to share those experiences. I mean, the first time teaching, having my son in the tractor and teaching him how to drive, a little heart-wrenching, but just being able to take those experiences and sharing them with your children. I revert back to the 4-H, learn to do by doing. And I think just being able to share that with the next generation, because they're our future. So that was really important to me. And I agree, family, it is all about family in our world.
And so we've already touched on this a little bit because we've been talking about the many hats that you wear, but beyond your barns, beyond your fields, beyond your orchard, you're also CEOs and mechanics and admin support and all of the things. Which non-traditional skills have you brought to farming that you think have served you best? Who am I starting with? Amanda.
Sure. I think for me, just dealing with the crop that we have with apples, we require a lot of labor and people working together with us on the farm. So I would say people management. Is that a non-traditional farming skill? Yeah. People management, land management, people management is a big one. And just being able to listen to people. Sometimes people are having a bad day and you need to talk them through it. And also, like, if, maybe someone's not quite understanding something that you've taught them how to do on the farm, just slowing down and, spending that extra time with them and making sure they've learned the skill properly. Also, so that's employees. And then I think people management too, we do a lot of like marketing and dealing with customers. So again, you're dealing with all kinds of people and just knowing how to work with people. I know, like, for me, I'm a very friendly person that comes to me very naturally, thankfully. So that's definitely helped me out on the farm a lot.
Super. Julie.
I would think we have a couple ideas here. One would be, I guess, kind of advocacy, that marketing communications is a background I came from, and just being able to advocate for agriculture and telling our story to farmers and other markets, our consumers. And then this competitive sports side of things, I think teamwork, right? Our house definitely runs on teamwork. Everyone's got to pull their load, and the hardworking, not giving up when you're in a game. You can apply those right to your day-to-day farming activities.
Super. What about you, Andrea?
Yeah, probably along the similar lines. All growing up, I always did a fair bit of public speaking. And so things like that, I think, are important. So along the communications line again, and knowing your audience, right? Like, we have a lot of opportunity in agriculture to tell our stories. People nowadays, they really are so far from their food production. They don't know where their food comes from, and the importance and really the responsibility that we have to share that story well. So the speaking aspect of it, I would say there are certain things that I wish I would have known would have been a great non-traditional skill to have. Like when I went through high school, I wish someone said to me, just take the accounting course, right? But I definitely think nowadays with farming, we can find a job for any skill set out there. Mm-hmm. So I know I'm probably preaching to the converted, anybody that's listening to the webinar, but agriculture is a great industry sector to be a part of. And whatever skill set you have, we have a job for you. So
Totally. So moving on, I think people are often curious, like, what does your average day look like? And I'm going to guess every single one of you is going to say there's no such thing. So I'm going to take that answer out of the equation. But if you had to give me an average day, and I guess it would be an average day on the farm, also that you're managing conference calls and other businesses. But Julie, what does an average day look like for you?
Well, I'll start with it depends on the season. But for us working on the farm, some mornings I will start in the office before everyone gets up. That's kind of some quiet time. I can pump out some emails. I do have coffee with the kids in the morning as they're making lunches. That's our hub of this is what's going on for the day. Then I will usually head out to the seed shed or the office, depending on the day. Zoom calls and meetings. And then I wrap up the day either at a hockey arena or in a baseball field as my children play competitive sports. And then the evening is kind of a combination of putting your life back together for the next day or prepping the things, you had to leave and come back to. So
awesome. Andrea, what about you?
Quite similar. So usually my day starts with coffee. My husband and I usually rally in the kitchen in the morning, what's going on for the day. And then kids are up and we have a few golden retrievers. So I usually get to take them out for a walk as well, which is always a beautiful way to start on the farm. You get to take a walk and just check things out. And then I do chores. So we walk through the barn every morning, assess how things are going in there. Is there equipment's working right? They're getting the adequate feed and water that they need. Anything that I need to deal with on the barn front. And then very similar to Julie, meetings, emails, like I do the farm books for our business. So what bills do I need to pay? And do I need to have a chat with an accountant? What equipment are we looking at next? You name it, right? And then usually we try to prioritize dinner as a family, and that can be difficult, but I think it's a non-negotiable sometimes for us. And then similar to Julie, I'm definitely in a hockey arena or at a figure skating rink at night in the winter or on a soccer field in the summer. So wouldn't have it any other way.
That's awesome. And Amanda, what about you?
Yeah, so one thing I've tried to incorporate, I noticed as I transitioned to doing more and more admin and more work on the computer, number one, I'm so grateful I can work from home. So let's talk about that. I'm very grateful. My morning commute is literally 50 meters from my house to my office here on the farm. And, some days when I've had to drive to Toronto and things like that, I'm so grateful for, my little work commute that I have to do. And I'm very grateful that I get to work from home. It offers me a lot of flexibility. So a typical day, one thing I did a year ago is I joined the gym. So I try to hit the gym in the morning, mostly because I sit at a computer all day and I'm not as active as I'd like to be. So I try to get in some physical activity first thing in the morning, come back, shower. This girl runs on lattes. So definitely enjoy a morning coffee, like Andrea said, with my husband too. And we talk about what we have going on that day, what's upcoming, and kind of hash out a plan. Then it's off to the office. And yeah, like Andrea said, I'm going through QuickBooks and doing our accounting, things like that, answering emails. Then I switch to my other business, Ride the Vine, same thing. I'm answering emails, scheduling tours, things like that. And then throwing in some meetings and other things in between. What does an evening look like? I'm so grateful. My husband and I, we both cook. We're both good at it. And thankfully, we really share that because sometimes he's busy all day. I know what he's doing. So then I take over the dinner, or same thing. He knows I have lots going on and he'll take over the dinner. So I really like that we kind of share the burden of cooking dinner. Some days it's a challenge, that's for sure. Well, I don't spend time in a hockey arena or baseball diamond. Our daughter does show horse. She has a horse and she shows competitively. So in the summer, you'll often find us spending weekends at horse shows, we really enjoy doing that with her.
Awesome. Good diversity. All right, switching gears a little bit. So women often play a real pivotal role in managing farm businesses. And the combination of running the business, managing the labor, managing your households, how do you navigate the mental loads that sometimes come with your roles as women on your farm and women in agriculture? And I have lost track of where I ended, so I'm going to start with Julie.
Sure. I would say our house runs like a ship. And we're very, very organized. I think that's how I manage personally. I'm very organized day to day, whether that is organizing meetings, the house, kids and family. And then going alongside with that is time management and really making sure we've blocked out time accordingly. I think balance, as I caution the word balance because everyone's like, oh, you need to balance. Easier said than done, as today it's there's no buses and I have meetings all day. So, it's just finding that balance of mom, a farmer, a seed dealer, and then my role at Grain Farmers of Ontario. So I think balance isn't about just treating everything equal in size, but about equal in weight and just picking priorities of where you need to manage your time. So I will be the first person to say there's not a magic pill. There's not a solution. You can put a formula in and it's going to spit you out an answer. But it's finding what works for you and your family. And for me, it is that balance piece and picking priorities.
Good one. Andrea, how about you?
Yeah, Julie, I love it. I had thought about this and work-life balance, that's not really a thing. Like there's seasons, right? So I know I'm in a busy season right now. So how am I setting myself up for success? So a few things, a few rhythms that our family uses. Usually Sunday night, my husband and I get on the same page for the week. So what's going on? Who needs to be where? Is there any, crazy things happening that, we just need to make sure that we have got them covered. And then I think there's also those non-negotiables, right? Like, okay, so what are the things this week that we need to prioritize or that I want to prioritize because that's where that's what's important to me. So yeah, some family time, things like that. And then I think the other piece of it is often as women, we care for ourselves last. And that actually doesn't do us well, right? Then by the end of the week, I'm running on fumes and the adrenaline has been pumping all week and I give my worst then. So what are the things I'm doing daily, little things that actually invest in my health and well-being, like that 10-minute walk in the morning? Being intentional about on Sunday afternoon, maybe I'm meal prepping. So there's options that are good options, different things like that. And again, it's all seasonal. And then the reality of like having to share the load too. Often we are very capable. And so we just do it. But it's better for me to empower my daughter to make dinner one night and to empower my son to do this chore or whatnot, as opposed to just, I'll just do it. Right. So I think it's being really intentional, which isn't easy on top of an already busy schedule, but to set that time aside and actually make a plan. And then really you execute on the next thing. What is the next thing I need to do? And just be responsible to that. So some of my thoughts.
Super. What about you, Amanda?
Wow, I love both of those answers, by the way, Julie and Andrea. How to balance the mental load. It's not easy. We've been through some hard times on the farm, dealing with weather, hail, frost, COVID. Woo, that was a very stressful time on the farm. So I think over the years, I would say I've really learned, again, as Andrea said, to like spend more time taking care of myself. I do a lot, I manage a lot of things, including a household. So I think I'm trying to do better at taking some more time for myself. I really try to respect Sunday. It depends on the season. Harvest, it's difficult, but I really try and use Sunday as a rest day or a me day, or just, I keep some flexibility on Sundays, and I just really focus on, eating well, getting a really good night's sleep. This time of year, it's so funny. Like I'm in bed by 8 or 9, which in the summer is unheard of. So it's funny, like even how like I think my body kind of adapts to the seasons as well and the workload. Like I feel like right now I'm in a season of rest and I'm preparing. and ready to go hard, once the weather warms up, all the way through to harvest and then back to a season of rest again. So, yeah.
So you're in dormancy like your trees.
Exactly.
Nice. I like it. Okay, so moving on, who was the first person to take you seriously as a farmer, and how are you paying that forward to the next generation of farmers that you're getting to work with, the next generation of women farmers? Andrea, I'll start with you.
Oh, this is going to be sappy probably, but for sure my dad. Right. So from that young age, I'm the oldest in my family. So I would be the one that would get up at 6 a.m. to bring the cows in. And so we would make coffee together, my dad and I would go out and bring the cows in, feed the calves. And just from that young age, even to spend time in the barn, I'm way more apt to go to the barn than to do chores in the house. So if we're talking about the previous question, I give myself grace in certain areas as well. But for sure, my dad, and then that's translated to, so how do I be that advocate and that encourager for my own children? Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And what are you doing kind of for that next generation? Are you meeting other young chicken farmers, et cetera, and having the same conversations?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for sure, as I travel in a lot of different meeting rooms or across people, I always look for the younger person in the room. In a lot of ways, and in a lot of rooms, I am one of the younger ones still, it feels like. So then I'm always looking for someone else and trying to have those conversations and encourage and just share, right? It's telling your story goes a really long way. And I'd love the opportunity to do more of that. So anyways, yeah, that's some of the little things.
Awesome. Amanda, who was the first person to take you seriously?
Ooh, I'd probably say same thing. My parents, so both of them grew up on tobacco farms growing up. So farming is kind of like it's in our genetics a little bit. So yeah, I would say my parents, I love like even my dad's passed, but my mom's still alive and she's always, they were both always very engaged. Maybe they didn't understand apples as much as they both did tobacco. But they were always asking like, how are your workers? What's the crop? And asking a lot of questions. So yeah, I would say my parents. And then as for the next generation, yeah, so fortunate to raise kids on a farm. I think farm kids are the best kind of kids. They have an amazing work ethic. I'm so proud that my kids have seen how hard we worked on the farm. And just now I get complimented on, they're not working on the farm. They have off-farm jobs now, but they did work on the farm for many years as teenagers. And they've been able to take those skills into these other workplaces. And, I've received a lot of compliments on just their work ethic and things like that. So that's awesome. And again, just everywhere I go when I'm traveling to Kenya and things like that, and I see young people in ag or getting interested in, some agripreneurship, I always try to be really, really encouraging. And I always tell them, I'm like, everyone needs to eat. No matter what technology we have and AI and things like that, we still need farmers. We still need food. Agriculture is a really solid industry if you can get into it.
Awesome. Julie, what about you?
I looked at this one a little differently. I also started farming full time once I got married. So a little bit later in life, grew up with an agricultural background and family farming, but doing it full time. So it was actually an equipment salesman that took me serious as a woman and accepted me being in that role. I found myself in agricultural being surrounded by more a male dominant as selling seed and the various different roles. But I think I kudos for just giving that confidence or encouragement goes a long ways. I think I try to listen and be an active listener and try to break down barriers where I can so that young people have the opportunity to get involved early as much as they can or they're interested in.
Awesome. And just a reminder to our audience, we're about 10 minutes away from questions. So please start thinking about your questions you want to ask these ladies and typing them into the chat. I have to tell the three of you a funny story. So my mom was always the on-farm farmer. My dad worked off the farm when I was growing up, and she was always the first woman out in the field and doing spring cultivating. And I remember one year, and I would probably was in grade school, and we made her lunch and we took it out to the field so we could have lunch with her, because that was the only time we'd see her. I mean, she missed Mother's Day dinner, I think, every day for about 30 years. But that night the phone rang, and it was a neighbor, and he was a grumpy older neighbor, and he was calling my dad to report that whoever my dad's hired hand was working in the back corner of the farm, that he needed to dock their pay because they had taken an exceptionally long lunch hour that day, and my dad should know what his employee was up to. And I remember my dad very firmly answering, "That was my wife. She was having lunch with our children," and hanging up the phone, and there was never any more discrepancy. So also, I grew up in that very strong female role model household, which makes me really proud. So how can organizations better support women in agriculture? And also, I've seen so many examples of what they're already doing that is working. So Julie, what do you think organizations can do? And you speak from a grain farmer's lens. You're already doing a lot.
I think they're doing, and yeah, kudos to, especially in agriculture, they're doing a wonderful job to encourage women to get involved, and the support accordingly. I think one of the biggest things and I think you guys can probably all attest to, is flexibility. That phone call this morning where, my husband's going to work and, there's no buses and I'm in a meeting. So there is that flexibility, and I know that's both genders, but I think moms wear that on their shoulders, just a little bit more, and that the ability to just treat women normally. We're the same employee, we're board member as everyone else, which I think we're seeing more. We're doing a better job at that. The compliments, encouraging, and confidence, it goes a long ways. Just that kindness of just encouraging someone to get to the next level. And ask, I think when we look at the boards we're involved in, our communities, is ask someone to get involved, and encourage them to take part.
Good. Andrea, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Kelly. So I do think there is a lot. This has come a long ways, right? There's lots of things that different organizations are doing, whether it be women in leadership programs or mentorship programs, even the ability to bring women together to have these, really good organic conversations and learn from one another. I think those are great opportunities. I think the other thing we need to do is continue to ask why. Like, why aren't more women involved? Like, what issue are we solving for? From my perspective, I don't want to sit on a board just because I'm a woman. I want to add value. I don't want to get the job because, of my chromosomes. I want to, if there's someone better for the job, they should fill it, right? So in that way too, I think it's important that we continue to ask why. Like, if I look at most of the women I know, they are, leaders in their home. They're the nurturers. They might not have a priority to be on this board, or so I think it's important we continue to have the conversations and understand the whys behind it, not just we need to do this because.
Super. Amanda.
Yeah, I think organization, like growing up around here, which is a very heavy farming community, I'm seeing a lot of great opportunities for women that maybe weren't there 10, 20 years ago. So I think we're definitely headed in the right direction. I love seeing education opportunities for women. I know Farm Credit Canada, they've personally invited me to attend, some business leadership. Things like that are great. And I was so grateful for the opportunity. Yeah, I think just recognizing women, just we're not just helpers on the farm. We do a lot. We are operators. We like I look at my husband and I would say, our roles are equal. We couldn't do this without each other. But again, while our roles are very different, we both support each other, but I'm not his helper. So I think, we need to kind of get away from that and recognize, women do have a really integral role on the farm. Yeah.
Super. So the face of farming is obviously changing. I think that if a kindergarten child in downtown Toronto had to draw a picture of a farmer, the three of you maybe wouldn't be what they would draw. And that is the stereotype we're getting away from. But as that face changes, what do you think the farmer of 2050 looks like? Andrea, I'll start with you.
Sure. I think that the 2050 farmer will be a diverse generation. I think that we see shifting in even younger generations. I think we see this older generation and they are getting better at succession planning. So as farms are handed down to the next generation, I think we're going to see a lot of diversity. I think you will see, instead of that classic picture of that farmer with the pitchfork in their hand, it will be a cell phone, right? All the data and the innovation technology that we are using now, it will continue and it will continue to grow, right? So I think that we will continue to advance in agriculture, and I'd like to think that one day a kindergartner will draw a picture of me, but hopefully it's just a variety of people.
Super answer. Amanda.
Wow. I love that answer, Andrea. I agree too. Like I think the question needs to be, what do farmers look like? It'd be hard to pinpoint, one sort of character. Me personally, I'd love to see more youth involved in agriculture. I just think with technology, it's so neat how we can connect with other people, other farmers, all over the world, see what they're doing. A lot of the challenges we have are similar, but what we're doing is different. We can all learn from each other. So yeah, I think the farmers of 2050, as Andrea said, are going to be very diverse. And I would love to see, more youth, more women involved in agriculture.
Super. Julie, what about you?
I think they both killed it. They did a great job. I like to think that's not that far away, 2050. But we're gonna, I'd love to see the same skills, just the efficiencies as both of you have outlined, and especially to note on that succession plan. I think, I'm very hopeful that we will be able to continue, and the future is bright for our children at the stage I'm in today. Hopefully farming in that role, should they choose, or to have the opportunity to be able to.
Okay, one last question before we go to the questions from our audience, which are starting to roll in. If you could go back to your first year in the field, in the barn, in the orchard, what piece of advice would you give yourself? Amanda, that's not that long ago for you. So
yeah, that was 2019. So that wasn't that long for me. So I would say you don't need to know everything right away, but always be open to learning. I found every season on the farm, I'm constantly learning. I'm learning new things. We're integrating new technology. So if I could go back and give advice, just calm down. You're good. Like one day at a time, one step at a time, you'll get there. And, just have an open mind and, learn what you can and just grow. Grow like your apple tree, grow like your farm, grow your mind.
Awesome. Julie, what about you?
Well, it's funny. My husband will definitely laugh at this one, but just you can't plan everything. Focus on the things that you can control, and the rest will fall as they may. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of my go-to now. Probably wish I had taken that on at the beginning, but we're working on it.
So if Kyle's listening to this right now, you heard it here first, right? Perfect. Good. Andrea, what about you?
I think I would give the advice to myself to not be afraid to take risks, to invest, to, continue to grow a business. And sometimes it can be about the bottom line. And sometimes in agriculture, some things just don't make sense, but eventually they pencil. So I think that would be it. And then on the same vein, prioritize home. Like as moms and employees and board members, we can have our hands in so many pots. But the only reason I can do all the other pots is because things are stable at home. So I think that's important too. And so building a strong foundation.
Awesome. Thank you. So we've got some lovely questions rolling in, and all three of you can take a stab at them, or if one of you wants to answer, if you've got a say. So Glenda, who is on the Caledon Agricultural Society, she said, as a director on our local ag society, and Farm and Food Care has many ag societies as members, how can we, the ag societies, help the public, their audiences, their attendees, better understand your roles? Anybody have any ideas on that?
I do.
Yeah, go ahead, Andrea.
Thanks, Glenda. That's awesome. I think it's so important for our ag societies to be thinking about agriculture and how to translate that and to share the stories of farmers across Ontario because, like I said, people don't know where their food comes from anymore. And we really need to do that advocacy to continue to help people understand. So I don't know if they need to know about the role that I play, but I definitely want them to know about chicken farming, and I want them to know about supply management and why that's so important for eating Canadian food. So I think as long as you continue to tell stories of farmers in your community, I think that's a really important role that you play.
Awesome. Does one of the other of you want to jump in on that one?
I think you did a great job, and just to continue that, Andrea, is to not forget about the basics, right? And we so often in our storytelling forget the basic info to let the general public know about agriculture and just educating that consumer. And it could be those very simple things of where their food comes from.
Super. The next question, I am curious to know if there's a future for women in urban farming in a city such as Toronto. I know all of you farm in more rural areas, but what do you think about urban farming and larger cities? Any thoughts? Amanda? Yeah.
Yeah, being in Kenya, a lot of people, are farming on a much, much smaller fragmented piece of land. So I find this question really interesting. And hey, if you've got a balcony, you've got a rooftop, farming is pretty basic. You can grow food for yourself, you can grow food for others. So I definitely think there's a future, there's a great opportunity. I don't think we're doing this enough. I think, there's some definite opportunities with small spaces for urban farming.
Super. Super. Anybody else? Great answer.
I do think, I think if you, like Amanda said, if you have a balcony or whatnot, the more that women, invest in agriculture and even think that way, that's the backbone of society, people eating. Mm-hmm. So the more that you're doing that, I think that we can fundamentally shift the resilience of communities, whether that be in Toronto or whether it be in Kenya, like Amanda said. So continuing to advocate for, grow your own food or whatever you can do, right?
Super. Okay, longtime Farm and Food Care friend Heather Ferguson has a question. She said, what is one misconception about Ontario farming that you wish more consumers or policymakers understood? And how can women in ag play a stronger role in closing that gap? You can go anywhere with this answer, ladies.
How many do you want?
Jump in if any of you got a thought.
I just think if you talk to people about where their food comes from, again, there's a lot of misconceptions. And I think about all of us sitting here, we are involved in different aspects of agriculture. So from a chicken perspective, misconceptions about hormones being used, about birds being raised in cages, and probably both of you ladies can think of aspects where people have wrong assumptions, right? So again, I think the importance of us telling the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
When I talk about doing chores in the morning, that I explain about the fact that hormones have been illegal in Canada since the 60s, and these birds are free running in the barn, and supply management means that you get Canadian chicken on your plate always, right? So different things, again, to tell the story.
Awesome. All right, we have a first generation farmer, Ashley Knapp. She has chimed in with, we're first generation beef farmers. What are some ways we can ensure our passion and farm will continue for generations to come? Any thoughts? Amanda?
And as a first gen myself, one thing that's really helped us is to meet up with other farmers. And if you can hang out with some other beef farmers, they are so great just to throw ideas and to get, insight and knowledge. And like see if you can hook up with some local beef farmers who can maybe give you some mentorship. They're the experts. They've been around. Kudos to you. First gen is not easy. So yeah, I would definitely try and find some local beef farmers to connect with. And in my experience too, especially in Norfolk County, I find people are very free with giving and sharing of information. So yeah, try and hook up with some other local farmers.
Good. Julie, do you have anything to add to that one?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the nail on the head with the mentorship, building those relationships. You want the good, you want the dirt, of how this really works, the good and the bad, right?
Yep.
And that will just help you grow and flourish in your business. So building those relations, taking part, those for some people can be challenging to get involved and to take part, but I think you will find many similarities around the table. The Grain Farmers of Ontario offers a women's conference, and it's all women. And it's a lot of the times that networking opportunity to just share your story and understand that someone else is probably in a very similar scenario as you are.
Mm-hmm. Good answer. And I think to add, every one of your commodity groups and all of the others, they all have local associations. They also have local gatherings, whether it's your federations of agriculture, your Christian Farmers Federation, your local grain committee, your local district chicken committee, and then the conferences this time of the year, right? The fruit and veg conference last week, the chicken conference yesterday, the Grain Farmers March Classic in a couple of weeks. Man, there's some good people to learn from and some good speakers to learn from on all of those things. So, okay, last question from our audience, and then we're going to turn to some rapid fire questions for the three of you as we wrap up. So Andrea, who is a longtime member of Farm and Food Care, she's asking, as you all mentioned, farming is a challenging occupation. From the sense of trying to attract youth to this industry, what areas of agriculture would you encourage them to examine an education or career in? Any thoughts?
There's so many.
Mm-hmm. And the doors have opened. Like I remember, if you were going to Ridgetown or you're going to Guelph to school, you were going to do this. Where I find now in agriculture, we've opened those doors to so many different opportunities to do so many different things.
Super. Anybody else?
Can I go? I taught in the agribusiness management program at Fanshawe for a few years. And I think what I liked about that program is students graduated with a very well-rounded education. They studied accounting, they studied pest management, they studied marketing. So I think if you can kind of generalize or get into something like learn some skills that make you very adaptable, there's so many things. There's so many job opportunities in agriculture, but yeah, maybe focus on, gaining some skill sets, a little bit of everything. I think that would be very helpful.
Yeah. The last thing I'll add is when they come to looking for like summer jobs and things, try to get more experience, right? Like you really just can't trade having an understanding of how certain sectors of agriculture work. There's skills that can be trained into people, and then there's just general background know-how that is invaluable. So that too, to getting a good portfolio of experience behind you in different areas of life is helpful as well.
Super. I want to highlight a great comment here from Michelle J. Lynn. Michelle is a registered dietitian that has been a part of our farm and food care world for a while. She says, as someone who doesn't come from ag, but who has gone to lots of ag events, I don't often get to connect with women farmers as much, but when I do, it's always so valuable. So I think that's a shout out to the three of you. And Amanda, you've got a personal one here from Steph. She said, first of all, big Suncrest Orchards fan, home of the very best. Chris, huge shout out. You're an incredible community advocate. Quickly, Amanda, how has your global farming experience shaped the way you show up as a leader?
Ooh, that's a great one. Thank you, Steph. Yeah, I think being able to travel and go look at farming in other areas of the world, it's been a very eye-opening experience for me. One thing I think that was really cool is I actually got to work together with the Kenyan government and bring some young agricultural grads from an agricultural college in Kenya to come work on our farm last season. And yeah, that was really amazing. Just to look at the different skill sets and to give some opportunities to some youths who maybe wouldn't have that back home. And then it's cool. I've stayed in touch with them over the winter. They're showing me what they're doing on their farms back home. So again, they've taken the money and maybe some skills they've learned here and applying that to farming back home. So I think that's really cool. And I'm just excited to see what the future holds.
Awesome. All right, rapid fire, 3 last questions, top of mind answers. Are you early birds or night owls? Julie.
I'm an early bird. I can't stay up late at night. I'm old now. It just don't bounce back.
Andrea?
I can be either. It depends on the day. It depends on what's going on. So I love a good early start, but I also love my own quiet time late at night as well.
Amanda?
Definitely an early bird from when I was a kid. I love being out. I'm more productive in the morning. And that being said, I also like going to bed early.
Favorite season on the farm? Julie?
I'd have to say spring. It's pure chaos.
Andrea?
Not the coldest winter and not the hottest summer. Otherwise, managing a chicken barn in the heat of summer and the cold, cold, cold of winter is not fun. But otherwise, any season on the farm is a great season.
And Amanda, what about you?
Well, I'm kind of partial as an apple farmer. It's definitely harvest. For me, it's kind of like, wow, this is what we've been working towards achieving all year. It's so awesome to see the apples on the trees. It's our busiest season. We have the most labor. There's lots of people around. We've got like our little community here on the farm. It's a great time. And then also knowing I'm going into dormancy after the harvest.
Break. Okay, and last question. The one tool you can't live without. Amanda, start with you.
Oh, that's gotta be my phone. Yeah, this is great. I stay up to date. I'm on social media. I'm promoting my farm. I'm connected with everyone here on the farm. Yeah, I hate to say it, but it's gotta be my phone.
Awesome. Julie?
I'd say my calendar. There's days I want to shut my phone off. It is my phone is totally the tool that I use all the time, but probably my calendar.
Yep. And Andrea?
Ooh, I want to say my phone because it has my barn operating system on it, but also my 5 senses, right? You can't trade boots on the ground in the barn either. So I hybrid approach me with a phone in hand. Okay.
I love that.
Thanks, ladies. I would love to keep this conversation going all afternoon. I so appreciate you saying yes to this request. I think you really show the diversity of this beautiful industry, from grains and oil seeds to livestock to horticulture crops. You've all been great friends of Farm and Food Care, and I think you've given everybody here a lot to think about. So thank you very much. Virtual round of applause, everybody.
Having us.
Yeah. So we've got one more webinar in our winter season, and I think my team is going to put that up. Oh, here's a few ways you can keep in touch with us and learn more. So The Real Dirt on Farming is our flagship publication. There will be a new version out this fall. If you're ever looking for accurate photos, including some taken at Amanda's farm, farmphotos.ca is a place where you can access a lot of free tools for your own presentations or purposes. Faces Behind Food on Instagram and Facebook is where we're telling stories of people like these three from all across Canada. And then certainly our Farm Food 360 website. We get about 1 million visitors a year. So if you want to see Julie's grain farm, you can go on to Farm Food 360. But if you want to see a chicken barn like Andrea's or an apple orchard like Amanda's, please go on there as well. Our next webinar is on March 26th. Featuring the Food Truth Project, tackling misinformation and tools for evidence-based communications. I think that today's online world and nutrition space is jam-packed with information, some good, some not so good, and how do you kind of separate that? And so we're going to talk about that. When you get a link to this webinar this afternoon, later today or tomorrow, you will receive a link to sign up for that webinar. And then the last thing we wanted to highlight is our annual conference is coming up April the 9th. We have an incredible lineup of speakers talking about all of this work in the area of food and farming. It is at the Grandway in Elora. Early bird tickets are still on sale and for a couple of more weeks. Our feature speaker is a fellow named Tyler Heppel, but you might know him online as Potato Ty. He is probably Canada's most interesting potato farmer and has hundreds of thousands of followers on TikTok, and he's going to be talking about his farming and social media journey. We've got the producers of the Cows Come Home TV show speaking that day, as well as a group of panelists talking about agritourism on farms, kind of what are the opportunities in Ontario and what are they trying to do to help opening the doors to food and farming. So lots coming up. That's April the 9th, and you will receive links to both of those in the follow-up email. We'll also be looking for your feedback on what you liked today, what you learned, and what you'd like to hear from in future webinars. So again, thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, Julie. Thank you to all of you online, and we wish you a happy International Year of the Woman Farmer and a happy rest of your day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kelly.
Bye.